I'm in good company now. I'm joined by a musician whose career has been very extensive. We have Chris Norman on my show, and he's back with a new album we are going to discuss. Welcome to my show, Chris. How are we?
I'm very good, thank you. Well, thank you for having me on.
That's good. Good to have you on board. I'm in good company, and we're here to discuss your new album. It's simply titled "Rediscovered Love Songs." Can you tell me a little bit more about this?
Yeah, it's a songs of favorite love songs. I mean, I basically it was somebody's idea to do it. So it wasn't mine. I just had a new album out back in 2019, and I was kind of in between. And then somebody said, "Why don't you do a love songs album?" I said, "Well, I'm not really wanting to do an album at all at the moment." And they said, "Well, I think people would love it." So I sort of looked into it, and then I just got people to different friends and family to give me a list of your favorite all time love songs, and they did, and I ended up with about 60 songs, and I thought, oh my god, that's a bit more than I need. So, but I sort of sifted through them and picked the ones that I liked, which I'd already made a list as well, of course, and and then found the ones that I liked, and then thought, well, would I be good at singing that? Will that suit my voice? And just picked out 12 that I thought were would be suitable for me to do. And it was during lockdown too, so it kind of gave me a purpose, because it was pretty boring not having much to do, and I was sitting around thinking I need to do something, and so I started just on my own in my own studio, recording the songs and playing everything myself, all the different instruments, and putting it together. And because I was doing it all separately like that, playing everything myself, it took a while to do the album. So it kept me occupied. And when I'd finished the basics of it, I took it to Nashville, got a Nashville drummer to put some stuff on, keyboard player to add some extra. I'd already done some keyboards, but I got extra stuff on. Then got a guy called Jake Burns, who's a Grammy mixing engineer winner. I got him to mix it for me. I said, "Will you mix this? I've already mixed it, but see if you can make it sound even. There's a certain sound you get from Nashville, I think." And so he did, and this is the album now.
Great. And you mentioned the sounds of Nashville. There's so many great songs on the album, so I've just cherry picked a couple we're going to have a look further at. So
Right.
on one of the songs like "Wonderful Tonight," you hear a standout guitar, kind of reminds me of the Shadows. What type of guitar instrumentation would you use on "Wonderful Tonight"?
Well, I'd recorded some acoustic stuff, and some keyboards and different ones. There's some acoustic stuff. I also recorded some electric, a 12-string Rickenbacker stuff on it as well to do some rundowns and stuff. And then my the guy that's in my touring band, Jeff Carline, who's great at playing that kind of bluesy sort of style. I got him in and said, "Look, can you play these bluesy licks because you play them better than I do?" Um, and he just went in with his I don't know what guitar he used, and I think it was a Stratocaster, and put all those bits on. And as I say, then I got it mixed and put the drums and stuff on in Nashville.
Very effective and well produced as well.
Thank you.
And another lead singer which I received from you was an Elvis cover. I know there's so many Elvis songs to choose, but this
Mm.
one, is it closest to your heart?
Well, I just love the song, the original version of the song. Really, I mean, there's been so many different versions of it. The Pet Shop Boys did it, of course. Elvis is the one that everybody seems to think was the main one, but it was written by Willie Nelson, and his original recording was very stripped back with just him and an acoustic guitar. And I kind of took that as a template and made it back to that sort of slowed down version, a more meaningful version, I think, because the words are all to do with a very meaningful message. The guy who he should have taken more notice of her and sort of told her he loved her more and everything.
Mm.
But nevertheless, she's always been on his mind. That's the whole point of the song. And I thought this sort of more slower melodic version of it was sort of more kind of right for the lyrics. So I did it. I took that kind of as a template, but then changed it a bit and did it my way. But but used that Willie Nelson version as the kind of the basis of it, really. And it's a lovely song. You know, it's a very heartfelt song. And I think anyway, I read somewhere that Willie Nelson wrote it about his ex-wife or somebody he was living with at the time. So I think it was for him probably a very meaningful song.
Mm. He was a great songwriter as well, Willie Nelson. I know he wrote Patsy Cline's "Crazy" too.
Yeah, he did. He's written some great songs over the years. Yeah,
and
started off as a songwriter, I think. Yeah, I think from what I understand is when he first went into the music business in Nashville, he got his break by writing songs like "Crazy," and that's what gave him the sort of opened the door for him to start recording his own stuff.
And they say about the old songs that they are the best, but they also have meaning, as you say.
Yeah. Well, you know, a good song's a good song, and I think people sort of sometimes think that songs are sort of a fashionable thing to do, but they're not. You can take any song from basically any time, and if you record it in the right way, it doesn't matter how old it is. If it's a good song, it sounds good, you know.
And having said that, like old songs, there was a track called "Just the Way You Are," and a certain Billy Joel song springs to mind. But surprisingly, it's a Bruno Mars cover.
Yeah. Well, that was a challenge for me because I don't normally do that sort of. It's kind of a slightly funkier sort of feel to it. It's got a drum box on it playing this thing going on. So you know, it was a bit different for me to do that. But I thought, well, would I be able to sing that? And so I sort of did a sketch of it and sang it. And I thought, well, yeah, I can sing it. It sounds all right. It's why not? Why not do something like that? And it was kind of more modern, and I didn't want everything to be just old songs. So I thought, why not? Why not do it? It's a more up to date song, as is "Need You Now," which is a Lady Antebellum song, which is a few years old now, but still, it's more recent than some of them, you know.
And of course, you have paid tribute to the big O, Roy Orbison. He is up there with the greats, the legends.
Yeah.
And what was it like to cover a Traveling Wilburys number as well?
Well, Traveling Wilburys was like. I mean, I love the Traveling Wilburys. I like Jeff Lynne as a producer. I like the way he makes records sound. I always like the sound of his records. And so Traveling Wilburys was such a great thing with all those people in it, you know, George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, of course, and Jeff Lynne. So that was always a favorite. And I was looking for songs that were about love, but weren't slow, because I had already quite a few slow songs. I didn't want to make it an album just of slow songs. So I needed to find some mid-tempo and up-tempo songs. And that was an up-tempo song. And with that, you know, I just really enjoyed doing it. The Drove All Night one, I always liked the Cyndi Lauper version of that a lot. And I also liked the Roy Orbison version of it. But Roy Orbison's was a typical Jeff Lynne production with this chuggy guitar going thing. And Cyndi Lauper's was kind of more, had this cello thing, a bit more dramatic. And I loved that too. So I thought, well, I think the chuggy version is better for me to do because it's more my sort of style in a way. So I took the cello parts and re-recorded them at the beginning, but then changed as the song opens up. It goes into the sort of more of the Roy Orbison version. So it's a mixture of the two. It's like a hybrid of those two versions.
As I say, the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Just a couple more questions to go now. How do you find working with music technology these days, as opposed to the music technology you had back in, like, say, the 70s, 80s?
Well, it's definitely more flexible. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, which is great. You can use as many tracks as I use Pro Tools. People use different things. They use Cubase and different things. I use Pro Tools. And when I first started with it, some years back now, I started, well, this is a bit weird way to record, because I was used to, you know, big desks, plugging stuff in, patching chords in, and recording onto a 2-inch tape machine. And that's a completely different way of recording altogether. But this way, once you get into it, which I am now, and I have been for a while, You can do all kinds, because you can use plugins and you can move things about. You think I like that middle section, but I don't like that bit. I'll move that into there. And you couldn't do that before. It was all like you had to do editing tape and stuff, which was a lot more difficult. So now you can just do all that. So the modern technology, once you get into it and you know what you're doing with it, is actually very, very flexible and a great way of recording.
Oh, thanks for explaining that. And I've just got one final question for you now. And of course, people remember you as being a frontman in a group band called Smokie. And you had hits with Mexican Girl, and of course your debut single, If You Think You Know How to Love Me. And of course, Living Next Door to Alice. Did you ever foresee that impact of that song had on people some 20 years later?
Well, no, because that the version that everybody seems to remember now is the one with the swearing in it, right? And I wasn't involved in that because I was in the band until '86, and Living Next Door to Alice was a hit originally in 1976, I think. Yeah. So it didn't have that bit in it. It was just a song. And we had and during that 70s to 80s period, we had about 14 hits, and that was one that was somewhere in the middle of all that. So when that was done as far as I was concerned. And when it was reappeared in mid-90s with this swearing thing in it, it was absolutely nothing to do with me. I wasn't in the band anymore, and to be honest, I didn't really like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I thought, why take a song that's already been a hit and then record it the same way, but put this silly thing in the middle? Not that I'm against swearing. I'm not prudish. I don't care about that. I just don't think it was the right thing to put into the song because it made the song into a bit more of a comedy song, And so no, it wasn't my cup of tea. But because of that, and I think because it gets shouted out at parties and what have you, it's become kind of a standard now that everybody knows. So now people, if people go, oh, Chris Norman used to be Smokie, Living Next Door to Alice, that's the one they say, And we had 14 hits. So that's the one that sticks out because of this newer version of it, I guess.
And if people, they know that song, do check out your other great songs because you had many hits, as you say, Mexican Girl, and some great music for people to check out other than that song, which is still a good song originally. And of course, your new album as well. Not forgetting that the Simply Rediscovered Love songs for people to check out. Is that on all platforms as well?
Absolutely,
brilliant.
Yeah, and all the different. You can download it. You can order it from places. You can listen to it on YouTube. Yeah, everywhere.
Well, very nice. Thank you for a pleasant interview, Chris Norman. My name's Danny, son, and all the best with this album. And we'll hopefully it does well for you, and very best with your music and so much more.
Thank you very much, Danny. Okay. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.